Today I want to talk to you about rogue websites legislation. In the Senate, it's being called the Protect IP Act. There's a lot of problems with this bill, but I want to talk about one in particular, and that's DNS blocking. DNS blocking is a problem because, first of all, it hurts cybersecurity. Secondly, it interferes with our global internet foreign policy. And third, it just plain doesn't work.
A major part of the bill gives the government the power to redirect DNS requests for websites that are deemed dedicated to infringing activities. Now, DNS stands for Domain Name System, and it's the system that translates a website's URL to its numeric IP address. When you type in a URL, your browser sends that URL to a DNS server. Usually, but not always, that's one that's run by your ISP. On that server is a big chart that matches each URL to the correct IP address. That address tells you where the site is, and you're on your way. What the bill does is interrupt this process by telling the DNS server, that lookup directory, to misreport the IP address of the site you're looking for. Instead, you'd probably end up at something like this. This causes a number of problems. First of all, making sure that URLs correspond to the correct IP addresses is a big part of the new DNSSEC. That's a security standard that's being rolled out now to prevent cache poisoning and phishing and all sorts of other malicious hacks. Right now, there's two paths a country can take when it comes to the internet. They can follow the US model, where openness is prized and people can access whatever they want, wherever they want. Or they could follow a model much more like the Chinese, where access is restricted, where the government gets to determine which sites their citizens can and can't visit. If this bill passes, then there's only one example for all of these countries to follow. It's just a matter of them choosing what reasons they want to block access to the internet.
The question is whether or not this is going to do more harm than good. It will, because it can't do any good at all, because DNS blocking doesn't work.
Here's why. Let's find a site whose URL no longer corresponds to the targeted website. Here's one. This site wasn't DNS blocked, its domain name was seized, but for these purposes the principle and the workaround are the same. As you can see, instead of going to the intended page, I'm redirected to a different IP address, one that hosts this message. But let's just do this. And we can see the actual numeric address listed here. All I have to do is copy this here and paste it here. And there we are.
So this provision of the law? Useless.
And that's just one of several ways to get around DNS blocking. People have already made browser plugins that do this sort of thing automatically. All it takes is for a user to go download a plugin or an app, and they're good to go. And while all those users are doing that, people are going to be building exploits into those tools, creating more security risks on a much larger scale.
So, DNS blocking. It creates security problems, global political problems, and it doesn't even work. So why do it?